Hi there, and welcome to episode 24 of the Sticks Twine podcast. My name is Eric, and let's just get all the administrative stuff out of the way. Thank you to everybody who is watching for the first time. There's quite a few new subscribers, which is pretty awesome. Thank you so much for hitting the subscribe button. And for anyone who is returning, thanks so much for coming back. Today is Monday, October 10th. It is Thanksgiving here in Canada, which always seems to perplex my American friends as to why we have it so early. I don't know why we do either, but it is what it is. So happy Thanksgiving to all my Canadian friends. And of course, I'll wish my American friends a happy Thanksgiving when it's your turn. So we've got quite a few things to get through today. I've got a whole bunch of notes, whole bunch of them. I'm going to try and go through relatively quickly because I realized last episode was a little bit longer than I typically like them to be. But we'll just go through and see where we end up, right? So let's start out with, we've got some giveaways to announce, some winners. We've got a KAL Decision that has been made and rendered. The viewers have spoken, so we're going to take care of that. I've got a few new titles for segments, and I'm going to try and put timestamps on them. So if you're interested or want to skip past something, then you can do that too. And I'll talk a little bit about what those are. And why don't we just jump right on in? Okay, so we've got a couple of winners that we're going to talk about. We've got a couple of giveaways, and I'm really, really pleased to see all of the great entries that everyone put in. And so let's talk about the very, very first one. The very first giveaway is for the Bags by Awesome Granny bag, and yours will be a duplicate of this one. This one's super popular. I know Christina's also got one from the Die Another Day podcast, and now you too can have yours if you're a winner. And guess what? I have pulled the winner, so there you go. So the first winner was in the response to the yarn that makes you the happiest. This was just because I really wanted to hear what other people love knitting with. And the winner from that is actually from Sweden, and it's Suzanne, who, if I'm so sorry if I'm going to ruin your Instagram name, but it's Ingrid Stoka. So congratulations. If you can private message me on Ravelry on Ravelry and let me know your postal address, I will pop that in the mail before I head out to Rhinebeck. And so there you go. That's the first one. The second one was my birthday giveaway, which was a pattern of your choice from the Brooklyn Tweed 2016 fall collection, which I'm actually really in love with. And the very first winner of that is Brenda KBB. But Brenda, you didn't let me know what pattern you wanted in your entry. So send me a private message and I'll make sure that that pattern of your choice gets to you. The second winner is Siberian Cat, who is Penny, who chose the Tamarack pattern. And that pattern was actually seemed to be quite popular. There were a few that were quite popular as well. The Vika was really popular. But I think the Tamarack was really one of the top rated ones. The men's version I wasn't particularly gone on, but I think that the women's version looks really, really great. So congratulations to you both. And I'll make sure that I'm going to give it a day or so that Penny at least and Brenda, if you could let me know that you've seen the podcast, and then I will send you your patterns. So congratulations to our winners. So now that we've done that, let's think about our next big KAL, which is Decision 2016. No, not really. It's not that hard of a decision. But the clear and far away winner between the choices for the upcoming KAL. I wanted to know if you were interested more in knitting a pie shawl of your choice, or knitting the Vika sweater from the Brooklyn Tweed 2016 fall collection. And the winner is the pie shawl, which actually I found really surprising because it's a lot of work. But I'm really committed to making one as well. So that's what we're going to do. So some details. First of all, when are we going to start? Well, we're going to start November 1st. That gives anybody who's going to Rhinebeck or any other fiber festivals a chance to maybe figure out what yarn you want to use. Of course, you're going to need a pattern. So I put together a quick collection of some of the pie shawls that I thought were really interesting. You'll find those in this episode's thread on Ravelry. And you can pick whatever you like out of it to participate. It just needs to be a pie shawl, full circular. So when is it going to end? there's a lot of work in this one, and I know that the holidays are coming up as well. So I want to give enough time for everyone to participate fully in it. So we're going to close that on January 31st. So that gives you November, December, and January to get through the full pie shawl, which frankly I probably will need as well. I will be making the leaves of grass out of the honey colorway from Quince & Co. I talked about that last episode, that I do have quite an abundance of the honey colorway in the Finch fingering base, and I will be using that to make the leaves of grass, which I'm thrilled about. So what else do we need to know? We have a hashtag. The hashtag for Instagram is going to be hashtag Everybody Loves Pie KAL, which I think is kind of fun, and that's going to be the name of the KAL as well, as Everybody Loves Pie. So feel free to start tagging away and let me know what yarns do you want to use, what patterns are you interested, that sort of thing. Of course we need prizes, and like I talked about in last episode, I'm not going to be doing a lot of physical prizes anymore. They're going to be digital delivery. It just saves a lot of time and effort and aggravation, and of course frees up more funds for me to do more prizing. So we're going to have two winners. The first winner is going to get a Canadian $50 gift card to wherever it is that will accept a Canadian dollar gift card. So whether that's Etsy or Ravelry or Craftsy, that's a really great one as well. So you'll just let me know which one you want, and I will make that happen. And the second one is going to receive a $25 gift card to the same whatever places will accept a gift card. So there you go. So we're starting on November 1st. I cannot wait to see what everybody is going to start making. I will open a thread, of course, for works in progress so that we can start sharing our interests and what we want to make, and hopefully we can help each other through if there's any questions. I'm really looking forward to getting stuck into the Leaves of Grass shawl, which I will be using not as a shawl. I will be using it as a home decor accent. But I'm really, really excited to see how that goes. So here's a question. I'm going to start this out. Blocking a pie shawl is not an easy feat from what I'm led to believe. They are big, and if you don't have a massive amount of blocking mats, I'm kind of curious, do you just block it out on a bed with pins? Do you put them on towels on the floor? What is it that you might do? Anybody who's done one, let me know in the comment thread, of course, either below or on Ravelry would be most appreciated. So we've talked about our two giveaways. We've got a new KAL started. Let's start talking about some of our new segments. Okay, the first segment I'm going to call Status Report, because as much as we love talking about projects, works in progress, finished objects, not everything falls in between or falls into one of those two camps. Some of them are in between. So I'm going to go through all of those things in one segment that I'm calling Status Report. So let's talk about the first one. My Rift sweater is my Rhinebeck sweater for this year. I'm not going to show it to you because it's in mid-progress. I have seamed it. It's finished. All the principal knitting is finished. The neckline is done. I've set in one sleeve, and the second sleeve is actually kind of partially, it's sitting on the chair right next to me. It's kind of partially finished setting in that sleeve, so I kind of don't want to pick it up and ruin what I've done and lose my place. But I wanted to record before I have to head out to visit my parents for Thanksgiving. But it's going to be done for Rhinebeck, no questions asked. It's going to be totally perfect. So that's the first one. The second one is, sorry, I have to just move something out of the way. My socks for Rhinebeck. So I know Rhinebeck socks are kind of maybe a thing, but maybe not for everybody. For me, this is the Rhinebeck Sweater Weather color from Pneumatic Yarns that Tracy of the Grocery Girls podcast sent me as a little giftie, which I appreciate. I'm just going to untwist the cord. If you may have seen in previous episodes, I do my magic loop, and which I find really amazing. I'm using the Smooth Operator sock recipe from Susan B. Anderson, which it is my favorite, especially for vanilla sock, because it just whips right off the needles. I made a bit of a boo-boo at a knit night right here where I'd put in the waste yarn, and I ended up having to rip back to the waste yarn. I'd knit probably about an inch or so, and I had to rip back and do it again, but I'm getting there. I'm almost done. the way I measure for me, where I like it to be, I kind of fold it in half because I know how long I like the leg to be. I just measure that first part, fold it in half. I get down to approximately where the ribbing is, and then I do the toe. It's easy for me anyway. So I'm almost there. These will be done in time for Rhinebeck. I don't have any question in my mind that that's going to be done. I'm loving this color. So many people have talked about this. If you do get a chance to work with this yarn, I would highly suggest that you do, whether it's this colorway or any other yarns from Nomadic, because I really, really enjoyed it. So I keep covering my face. Sorry. Let's just make it a scarf. A sock scarf. Anybody? That's actually a thing. Have you seen this? I saw it in, I think it was the winter issue of Vogue Knitting Live, Vogue Knitting, which I'm really enjoying their new format. I really like it. But it's kind of a thing of having sort of sleeve scarves where you just knit it in a tube and it's got some ribbing and stuff. It's actually kind of cute. I like that idea. So I totally digressed there. Apologies for that. So that's Rhinebeck socks. Other work in progress. I am working currently on the Furrow Cowl by Jared Flood, and I'll post a picture here so you can see what it looks like when it's done. And I'd say I'm about halfway through. It's really interesting. It's just a simple garter border, moss stitch panels, and then these kind of cute little, I'll just bring that in a little bit closer so you might be able to see it. The green is not showing up representative, and I'll talk about the yarn in a second, but it's got these sort of cute little cabled pieces to them that go up and down the entire piece. And it's actually a shaped cowl so that it's a little bit closer to the neck of the chin line and a little wider down by the shoulders. It takes 4 skeins of worsted in the Brooklyn tweed put up, and this is being made in this is what I have left of this one. This is the Sap colorway of Shelter, and I'm going to say this. I don't know what they've done with the yarn, but I feel like it's actually much better to knit with than it might be. Maybe it's my skill level again. Maybe they've done something actually to the construction of the yarn, but I'm really enjoying working with it. It feels more stable. It feels nicer to work with. It feels actually quite squishy, which I'm really liking. And I was unsure at first about doing this color, and then I was, I'll talk about this a little bit later, but I was in Brooklyn last weekend and picked this up at Brooklyn General, and I really, really thought, am I going to take the chance? I'm going to take the chance because I really, really like this color. So there you go. So that's about halfway done. I'm really hoping I will have this done in time for Rhinebeck. It may or may not happen. I'm going to be sharing the driving down, so I might have some knitting time as well. Today is Monday, we're leaving Thursday. Maybe I'll be done in time for Rhinebeck, but I'm not going to count on it. I'm not going to push myself that hard. I need to get the socks done first. But I'm really enjoying this. It's super intuitive, this pattern, because it's a 6-row repeat. It's easy to memorize. Most of the rows are actually kind of the same, so it's good to go, but really liking that. So that's one of the things I'm working on. But I also have a finished object this week, and this one I made out of Brooklyn tweed in the Shelter, again, surprise, surprise, in the Fossil colorway. This is an extra skein. I bought 2. Not sure exactly what I'm going to use this for yet. I might actually make another hat out of this because there's another one that I'm kind of interested in making from the same collection, so I made it in that. But this is finished and blocked, and it is the matching hat. This is the Furrow hat, also by Jared Flood. These are from the Woolens collection, not from the Fall 2016 collection. And it's blocked out really, really nice. It's squishy, it's soft, it's warm. It's a little bit big for me, but I actually really like the fact that it covers my ears. There will be some wind that will go through for sure, just because it's moss stitch. It's got holes in the fabric, right? For all intents and purposes, it's basically, I don't think that's going to focus. Is that going to focus? Focus. It's basically it's a rib not done in all one go. So I'm not expecting it to be like super, super, super duper warm, but it is warm, and I'm actually quite comfortable wearing it. So that, along with that will be one of my combos for this winter that will hopefully help keep me a little bit warmer on my commute to the office. So, finished object. Hats are really awesome. I'm totally about the hats these days, and I'll talk a little bit about that in the haul. So, that's all I'm working on these days. Just checking on that. Yep. So, I've got a few more things. I've got a lot more stuff planned, but I'll talk about those in sort of some upcoming projects and in future podcasts as well. So, that leads me to our next segment, which I am calling Stash Stuff. Because stash management is something that I think we're all a little bit concerned with, and I have more stash than I know what to do with at this point. And by know what to do with, I don't mean to say that as I've acquired so many things that, look at me, I have so much stuff. It's more to say that I literally don't know what to do with it all because I don't know what it all is. I've lost track, I've lost count, I don't have an inventory. So when I buy things, a lot of it is just due to the fact that I don't remember what I have already. So what I am planning to do is I would like to designate October 22nd as the first annual Clean Up Yo Stash day. that didn't roll off the tongue very easily, did it? First annual Clean Up Yo Stash day. And what I'm planning on doing is I've invited a couple of friends over who are super knitter friends to watch a movie, help me catalog and index all of my stash and store it properly. We're going to either photograph it or find photographs that I can put into Ravelry if they don't exist already, so that I know at a glance where my stuff is, I know how much I have, so that I can start to really use what I've got as opposed to just acquiring a ton more stuff. That said, I do plan on buying stuff at Rhinebeck, and I've got stuff to show you today, so the stash just keeps growing. But I want to know what it is, right? Do you have the same problem? I expect that a lot of you probably do. There are those knitters who don't acquire much, they acquire with purpose, and they use the yarn that they've acquired right away. I haven't got into that habit yet. I probably should. But I am starting to think about when I purchase things, what project am I purchasing it for? Which is another reason I really want to have my stash, especially in Ravelry, updated. And that way, too, if I want to get rid of something or just know I'm not going to use it for anything, then I can destash it with confidence and know exactly what it is and where it is. So let me know if you're interested in joining into the Clean Up Yo Stash Day, which, again, I'd like to do that October 22nd. That's when I'm going to be doing it. I will be Instagramming, of course. I may also record some video around that so you can sort of see the process and what we do. So stay tuned for that. That should be fun. So that's part one of stash stuff. The second piece around stash stuff is knowing what to buy and how much and where, that sort of thing. And this has come up in conversation a couple of times with various people, but most predominantly with my friend Ramona, who is going to be coming to Rhinebeck with me. Yay, Ramona! Rhinebeck or bust! And that's really about using the wish list function in your queue for Ravelry, of projects that you think are interesting, that sort of stuff. If you don't own the pattern already, if you haven't seen it, there's a little teeny little checkbox that you can check that's about adding it to your wish list. And it's something that we talked about because sometimes we like to give gifts just to friends for birthdays. I know I got a couple for my birthday, which I super appreciated. And they kind of existed on my wish list, which is helpful because then people know what you're interested in, what you're looking for. I know as someone that does giveaways, I would really appreciate it if someone had things on the wish list because then I can gift things much more easily. It can be a surprise as opposed to just getting something that it's like, okay, well now I have to choose. I can give you something that maybe is there already. So I'm going to start doing it. I already have started cleaning up my queue and adding things to my wish list, and I'd love to encourage everybody to try and do the same thing. So there you go. There's stash stuff for this week. Have at it. Let's get our stashes organized before the winter knitting season starts, shall we? And now comes to one of, I think, my favorite parts of the show, but also I hear from a lot of viewers that it's maybe one of your parts as well, and that is the haul. The haul is not as big as it was last time. Thankfully, it's only been a fortnight, not 2 months worth of haul, so hopefully it's not too gross to go through. But I do want to talk about some of the things that I've acquired, not just yarn, but also some other things that came along the way. So I'm going to talk about what I picked up and where I got it from, but I'll tell sort of a bit more about the events that led to said acquisitions in a bit more detail a little bit further in the podcast. So if you're not interested in the haul, feel free to fast forward. If you are interested, stay tuned, because here it comes. The first thing that I want to talk about was some Brooklyn Tweed acquisitions, which you clearly have seen some of it, and I'm just going to hold up the few pieces. Sorry, this one already wound into a cake because I thought I might need some of it. Turned out I didn't for the hat. But there is some more of the shelter. This is the Sap colorway from Brooklyn Tweed. It is worsted. I got this at Brooklyn General, which had a relatively limited selection, but still I thought pretty darn good, only because the yarn crawl in New York City took place the weekend before I was there, so they didn't have quite everything, but enough that I was really thrilled with what I picked up. So I got 4 skeins of this one, which I need to do the furrow cowl, and I picked up, like I said, 2 in the fossil colorway, one of which has already been made into the hat, and I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do the other one with yet, although there's a hat called the Seeds pattern in woolens as well that is a really sort of basic color work hat that you can use all kinds of different colors for what you're interested in making, and that probably will end up being some of the use for this one. So that's some Brooklyn Tweed shelter. Then I also got I got a couple of patterns which were very, very lovely presents. Jenny and Devin of the Handmade Woolen podcast video channel on YouTube gave me a collection of sock patterns, which is awesome because I, of course, love making socks, like probably most of you. So thank you so much for that. Really appreciate that. My friend Ramona, the lovely Ramona, gave me the Riva collection from Quince & Company. They had a new, I believe it's called the Sea Smoke collection. It's just a small capsule collection, but the Riva is a hat and mitten color work, which I think I talked about last week as well, but Ramona sent me the pattern for my birthday, so thank you. And then my friend Ashley sent me also for my birthday the pattern for the Snow Fling mittens. So I'll put a picture here so you can sort of see what they look like. It is a color work mitten pattern, which I really, really liked. And I think the most interesting thing I enjoy about this pattern is that it actually comes with, and it's from Tana's Fiber Arts. The pattern comes with a lining component to it. So you do the color work for the outer part of the mitten, and then you do a picked up lining for the mitten on the inside. In the kit that you can buy from Tanis, it comes with a cashmere lining, but I picked up yarn also while I was in New York to make that with, and I picked up at Argyle in Brooklyn 2 skeins of Quince as well. This is both Lark. Now the pattern does not call for worsted weight, but as a guy, I have bigger hands a little bit than the pattern might call for, so I thought if I do it in worsted, that'll sort of give me a little bit of compensatory, that's the word I'm looking for, room in the mittens. So I am going to do it in this really, really awesome, I think, combination. This is in Iceland. These are both the Brooklyn Tweed, oh my goodness. I have BT on my head. That sounded kind of gross. I don't know, was that gross? Oh, sorry if it was. This is the Iceland colorway in Lark, and this one is the Sabine. So these are gonna be really cool, I think, colorway. I think I'm gonna do, this is the background color and this as the highlight color. And then there's the lining. So I ended up going to Pearl Soho when I was in New York as well. I hit almost all the shops that were in Brooklyn and downtown. I didn't go to Nitty City this one. I've been there before. And the lining for this one, I am going to actually do in Koigu, which, it was funny, the stockist at Pearl Soho kind of said, if you're from Canada, why are you buying Koigu here? Actually, it works out. It's actually a little bit cheaper to buy it there, surprisingly. And the color for the inside is, of course, Koigu just uses numbers. This is 2339, and it is a amazing, bright, it's almost like a Granny Smith apple color. So I will have a green lining to my my dark and light color work mitten. So I think it's going to be an awesome color combination. I can't wait to see those. So those will definitely keep my hands warm. Those are for like when it's one of those really, really, really cold days. I'm going to be wearing those. I picked up a new winter coat when I was in New York as well, and it's kind of it's kind of this color. It's kind of maybe a little bit darker than this. So that's going to go pretty awesome. I'm really thrilled about those. So I'm really digging the green these days, apparently. Who knew? I went from all blues to all grays, and I have a green sweater on today as well. I did not make this, just to be clear. This is store-bought. But it's my new favorite non-handmade garment because I have not finished my first sweater. Like I said, I've got half a sleeve still to finish doing. So thank you so much, Ashley, for the pattern. I can't wait to get that on. I know she's got already the kit from Tennis that she's going to be making as well. So we're going to try and cast that on together. So there's that. Flip the page because we have more. Oh yes, there's more. Okay. I also received a pattern from Natalie Sheldon, who is Remembrances Pottery. If you haven't checked out her shop, you absolutely must. She's got amazing knitter-themed pottery that I think you'll love. I do. I think it's amazing. And she sent me a pattern for the Violetta's spring hat, which is actually one of her own designs. And I actually know somebody that I think I'm going to make this pattern for. So I'll pop a picture here. Again, this is another reason why I need to know what's in my stash so I can figure out what to make. But I think I have the yarn for it already. Because the absolutely wonderful Connie, who is Chili Knits, sorry, I just have to move something out of the way. Chili Knits came to visit. She was here, and I'll talk a little bit about that more a little bit further in the show. But she was ever so kind to bring a couple of gifts along with her. Oh yes, there are gifts. And she first gave me a new project bag, which I love these. These are just awesome. All these different cocktails on them. Of course, there's Connie's great label, Chili Knits. She also put on the Chilean flag pin for me, which I super appreciate. And it's a really big bag. I can show you the inside as well. It's got this great green and white chevron pattern. And it came with yarn. Of course she gave me yarn, which I super appreciate because she's an awesome yarn dyer. And she gave me two skeins. First, she gave me this one, which is her Strong Sock base in the Let's Dance colorway. Check that out. Isn't that awesome? Connie, to me, does some of the best super bright colors. It's totally her aesthetic, which I super love. This is, I think, so it's a 75-25 base, sorry, it's superwash. Is it superwash? Yeah, superwash merino and nylon, which is obviously going to be awesome for socks. I may just make these into socks. We'll see. But I love those. I think it's great colors. And she also gave me a second one, and this is her Nimbus fingering, which is a 80-10-10 MCN. It is so nice. It actually doesn't even feel like fingering. It feels even a little squishier. And there's purples and greens and blues in there. And look how great those colors are. Doesn't that just look amazing? So I think that this might actually need to be a hat. I kind of really want to make a sockhead hat. I haven't made one yet, but I think I might have to make this one into a hat because this is just going to be so squishy and so nice. And I think I might actually make the Violetta's spring hat out of this as well, because who doesn't want cashmere on their head, really? I know I do. So thank you so much, Connie, for those. couldn't be happier, couldn't be more thrilled to have A, met you, and B, to now have some more of your yarn. So thank you. Okay, what else did I pick up? Picked up a couple of notions. I picked up these really, really cool stitch markers, which hopefully that will focus. It's not going to focus. That's okay. These are from Coco Knits, and they are opening colored stitch markers, and they come in, so there's a non-Coco Knits in there, but it comes in these great, amazing, bright colors, which I think are just so cool. They're really, really helpful actually, because they stand out against your knitting pretty well. I'm using them on the furrow cowl, and I used them on the hat as well. And they really pop. You don't really miss them at all. They're really great, and they're nice and thin, so they don't affect, you know, your stitches or anything. So I love those. I thought those were great. I picked those up at Woolen in Brooklyn, but I think you can pretty much find them in a lot of other places as well. Check your local yarn shop. They may have them, but definitely they sell them online, so you can get those. Love those. Connie also gave me a bunch of stitch markers as well. I don't know how well these are going to actually show up, but they all have these great little highlighted colors on them, different shapes. I've got triangles, I've got circles, I've got all kinds of things, different colors. So those are really cool as well. All right, we're almost to the end of the haul. I've got two more things. So you may have noticed I'm kind of about the hat knitting right now. I'm really, really enjoying the idea of knitting a whole bunch of different hats and just having like a collection of them to be able to wear. But if you're going to knit hats, you need needles, of course, because, well, you need needles to knit. In my interchangeable set, I found really difficult. I currently have the Knit Picks interchangeables, but I find that the cords and the interchangeables don't quite work that well. They're not quite short enough to do hats. So I bought a set. This doesn't actually come with a set. I bought them individually, but I bought 4 in the common sizes for hats that I would be making. So I have a US 5, 6, 7, and 8. And this is sort of my hat collection. They're not that expensive. These are Hiya not sharps. These are just regular Hiyas, which I really, really enjoy them. The cords are amazing. They're super flexible. The join is really, really smooth, so it's nice. It doesn't matter what yarn you're working with, it's going to slide over pretty well. I used these on the furrow hat, and it was perfect for them. So now I feel like I've got my hat knitting collection ready to go. I've got stitch markers, I've got needles, and I'm good to go for the rest of the season. I'm assuming these will last for quite a while, so that's, but they're easily found. So if I have to replace one, I can. I bought these at Woolen in Brooklyn as well, but I'm sure your local yarn shop carries them, or you can always order them online. So that was awesome. I'm really, really happy that I've got those, because now I can make hats anytime I want. So that's it for, oh no, there is one more thing. I forgot. So I had teased on Instagram that even after buying all these things and knowing that Rhinebeck was coming, that I saw something on Etsy that I saw it and I had to have it. And before I knew it, I purchased it and it arrived, and I'm really thrilled. So it is in a plastic bag. I am not taking it out because there's no point. But this is, pardon me, itchy nose. This is the Jinx Yarn. I'm going to hopefully do that so you can see it. Studio Ghibli set A for minis, and I'm going to show you the colors. These are all inspired, if anyone's not aware of Studio Ghibli, these are all animated movies from Japan, which I've always been a huge fan of them. And so this is her Strong Sock mini skeins. So colorways, there's one inspired by Princess Mononoke, Spirited Away 1, Spirited Away 2, Ponyo, Haku, and Totoro. Who doesn't love Totoro? If you've never seen My Neighbor Totoro, you have to see it. It is such a sweet movie. So these are awesome. I was so thrilled to get these in the mail. I know I said I wasn't going to get any more minis for my blanket, but it's Totoro. I had to have it. I know it's a poor excuse. I am a failed human being, but whatever. I had to do it. So I couldn't be happier. I am a little annoyed with myself that I missed Jinx last update because I desperately wanted Gingerbread House for socks. But here's the story, guys. I'm such an idiot. I set an alarm for 7 p.m. when her shop update was going live. I've got my laptop in front of me. I'm hitting refresh, 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 refresh. 7:05 comes, nothing's happening. What the heck? What gives? Then I realized, oh, she's in Central Time. I'm on the East Coast. I'm on Eastern Time. So, okay, set a new alarm. I'm waiting. I'm watching TV. I'm waiting. 8:05. I missed it. 8:05, my alarm didn't go off for some reason. I was watching TV, I was talking with Sebastian, I don't know what's going on, and I missed it. So there is another update, I am sure, coming. I think she just posted about it on Instagram today, that there's an international friendly update coming. I shouldn't be mentioning this really, because I really want to get gingerbread sock for myself. But I wouldn't be a good host if I didn't tell you about it, I guess, right? So anyway, there's a new one coming. But there's also some really awesome colorways coming from a lot of different dyers. Sue and Chelsea of the Legacy Fiber Arts, Yarn Dyeing Company, and Legacy Knits podcast are... Oh, I hope you didn't hear that. I'm trying to save myself for Thanksgiving dinner and my stomach just growled. Oops, sorry about that. Are also... so Sue and Chelsea are doing a really, really awesome... Advent mini skein update, which again, I shouldn't be talking about these things, but I gotta let you know that they're coming because I think that's going to be awesome. And then I know that Christina and Amanda are working up their Christmas colorways from the Dye Another Day podcast. So that is, Amanda is Yarn Enabler and Christina is the Cozy Knitter. So you can check out those. But guys, that means Christmas knitting, it's starting already, isn't it? I know my lovely friend Patricia has committed herself to making socks for everybody, which I think she's crazy for doing, but more power to you, girlfriend. If you can get them all done, more power to you. So anyway, that's the haul for this episode. I have a feeling next episode is going to be a bit of a doozy because Rhinebeck is next week, and of course, the next time I podcast, we'll be talking about things that I picked up there. So why don't we take a quick little break? I'm going to just clear the decks a little bit so we can sit back, relax, enjoy our beverages, and we can talk about a little bit about the knitter's world. Okay, I lied. There's one more. This is what happens when you're a bit of a yarn addict and a knitting addict. I forgot one. And this is actually one of my favorites, but it's recent, and it was under the stack. So this is what happens when you clear the decks. So there was a knit night, and I'll talk a little bit about that in Knitter's World as well, that happened this past week that I attended, and it was sponsored by Indigodragonfly, which, if you are not familiar, is a Canadian yarn dyer, and this is her card. And I wanted to meet Kim for quite a while. She does sort of an open house once a year, maybe more often, but I know there's one in August, which I wasn't able to get to because we had just been back from traveling and I just didn't want to spend 3 hours in the car each way. So I didn't go, but I got to meet Kim and I was really, really, really happy to do that. I think she's awesome. She comes up with these amazing colorways, and I've talked about her in the past. She does a lot of sort of sci-fi inspired and pop culture inspired colorways. And this time she came up with this amazing colorway. This is called Arc de Triomphe, which is, it's actually inspired by some of the colors that the host company who is hosting the Knit Night uses quite frequently in their products. So believe it or not, it was at a shoe store. If you're familiar with John Fluvog shoes, these colors probably will look quite familiar to you. And this is, like I said, this was a special colorway that she dyed up just for the event. It doesn't exist anywhere else. I don't know if she has any left, but I had to get one. Why would I go to a knit night that has an exclusive special colorway and not get one? So I think this will be a hat for me. I'm thinking this will probably be a sockhead hat because I think it's too nice for socks. This is in her Caribou Ba 100% superwash merino. It's just under 400 meters, 435 yards. So I think this will make a really, really cool cool hat. So I think that's going to have to happen too. Like I said, I'm all about the hats these days, guys. So with that said, now let's take a break, get another beverage, and then we can talk about the Knitter's World. All right, so I have refreshed my coffee, and so I talked last week about, I was going to tell you a little bit about my experiences sort of shopping in different places around the world, different knit shops, and this segment then I am calling the Knitter's World. So let's start in sort of chronological order of different places I visited. So if you watched last episode, you'll know that I did a lot of traveling this summer, both domestically and internationally. And the first place I went to was Switzerland. And in Zurich, I went to a shop called Vilfil. I think I could be pronounced very differently, but it's Vilfil. It was pouring down rain when we were there. And it was quite humid and muggy, but it was a nice place to sort of pop into. It wasn't easy to find because it wasn't quite where we thought it was going to be. So we trudged through the rain and got in there. And it is a really, really cute shop. I think it's probably one of the biggest in sort of the central portions of Zurich. And it's filled to the rafters with yarn. Of course, it carries mostly European brands, but that's sort of to be expected. But I found it really interesting as a couple of guys walking in. We've just come in. We've got, soaking wet umbrellas. And of course, we left them at the door so we didn't traipse it around to the rest of the yarn shop. But there's no air conditioning in the shop. We're sweating. We're wet. We're gross. So understandably, I think the proprietress was a little bit... perturbed is not the right word, but maybe a little concerned as to why a couple of guys were walking into her shop. And of course, the language barrier doesn't make things any easier. But it was an interesting experience to be sort of seen with this lens of why are these guys in my place? What's going on? But I had a good browse around. I found a few things that I liked, and I showed that in last week's haul where that was from. But I thought it is a really lovely shop, and I know some of the other members of the group have already talked about visiting this shop as well and really enjoying it. The poor woman, I think, was a bit nervous to talk to us because, of course, the language barrier is there. And although Sebastian is fluently bilingual in English and French, and I'm passable in French, bonjour mes amis, that's about it. No, I do know a bit more French than that. But in that part of Switzerland, they predominantly speak German, which neither one of us know a single word of. So she actually called for, I guess maybe it was her daughter or a shop assistant or something, who spoke a little more English. And she was a little bit younger and didn't look quite so askance at a couple of guys wandering into the shop and buying yarn. She did look a little incredulous that we were actually buying and we knew what we were buying, or at least I did. Sebastian, I don't think, knew what we were buying because I didn't really tell him. So it was just me buying stuff. But it was fun. It was a nice shop. I recommend definitely, if you are in Zurich, to take a look because there's a lot of stuff there. And it's worthwhile, I think. And then I just realized that I lied because before I went to Zurich, I actually had gone to Italy for the first time this summer, which was to Milan. And we visited a shop called Centro della Lana, which is a bit more on the outskirts of it's not right downtown in Milan, so we had to take the subway to get there, which was fine. I know he wasn't best pleased to be dragged out to... seeing a pattern here, I dragged Sebastian out to a lot of yarn shops. It's a thing. It's just got to happen. It is packed literally from floor to ceiling with yarn. And a lot of European yarns are not wound the way we're used to. We're used to seeing things like skeins, like these. And in Europe, they're done in kind of like the bun format. So there's a ton more that you can actually see, and they tend to stack because they're stackable. Again, the woman, she was busy helping another customer, and if I speak little French, I speak even less Italian, and then German, even less of that. So my Italian is not good, especially when it comes to, technical knitting terms. I did see a lot of artificial fiber in that shop, a lot of blends more than anything else. But once the woman finished with the customer that she was working with, and I was waiting for her to be assisted, I was pretty much ignored for the most part until I started actually asking, can you show this to me? And in a lot of European shops, you don't just wander through and just pick things off the shelves. The shop assistant assists you and will have ladders for climbing up to the ceiling if there's something in the rafters that you want to get, that sort of stuff. So I don't think she was too happy that we were there, particularly when Sebastian started to take a couple of pictures for me, which I really wanted to get because I thought it was such a fabulous environment. But once she actually realized that I was serious and I was actually buying things, she kind of mellowed out. And I found the prices relatively reasonable given that they were in euro. And I've already shown all of these products in the last episode. So don't feel like you're waiting for it, because it's not what this is about. This is just about my experience. So yeah, I would say it's worth the trek. I would have loved to have had something a little closer to where we were, but you know what, beggars can't be choosers, and I kind of needed to do that. So anyway, so that was Centro della Lana. When I was in Florence, I desperately wanted to get out to this one particular shop because I had it in my head that I wanted to buy cashmere in Florence. I don't know why. It's just kind of what I had in my head. But the shops were closed on the weekend, so go figure, that didn't happen. But the last place that we went to that was sort of a non-Torontonian place, and let me just say, I'm not going to talk about the ones in New York because I've already talked about those quite a bit. And I think a lot of my viewers from the US have seen a lot more from a lot of other podcasters out there, so I'm not going to talk about those as much. If there's something specifically that you'd like to know or about my impressions about it, feel free. But what I will say is, generally in the US, you don't really get that kind of like, ooh, what's a guy doing in my store feel. With the exception of the last one I'm going to talk about, which is Sedona Knitwits, obviously in Sedona. When we were there in August, the shop was only about a 5-minute drive or so from our timeshare where we were staying. And this is kind of the unfortunate part, that I felt really unwelcomed when I walked into the shop. I felt like I was being grilled or interrogated, kind of like I had to prove my street cred as a knitter before I was allowed to even browse. I don't think that was necessarily the intention, but I'm kind of adamant about customer service these days. I don't accept poor customer service. Maybe it's a function of getting older. Maybe it's a function of working in an industry where we help coach customer service, but I just can't help myself. I found it actually a bit rude. I did tell the woman I thought she was asking some unusual questions for someone that had just entered the shop. The questions were along the lines of, do you know where you are? Do you know what kind of shop this is? Do you knit? And what do you knit? And I was a bit put off by it. But once I sort of demonstrated, I actually do know what I'm talking about. I do know what a yarn base is. I do know what kinds of projects and patterns I like to work with. I kind of broke through some of that stereotype, I guess. It felt very, not just gender specific, as a guy, as a male knitter going in, that I might have to prove myself. If I was a woman my age, I don't think it would even be a question. And it wasn't said in the tone of being helpful, which I thought was unusual. As a shop assistant, you would probably want to try and maybe help. I didn't find it very helpful. But I still bought stuff because I still wanted to buy some things. I still wanted to get some stuff acquired, so I did. But I don't know if I would really go back there. I think they have a great selection. They've got some great yarns. And again, you've seen that in the haul from last week, or last episode, technically. But I don't know if I would go back. I'd be hesitant maybe about going back. So anyway, those are my 3 shops for Knitter's World this time, as in when I go through different yarn experiences in different shops in different places. I'll continue to add to this segment, but it's not going to be a regular every time thing. But now you know, if you're looking for Knitter's World, that's what you're going to get. You're going to get my impressions of different yarn shops around the world. All right, so now we're needing to talk about the big thing, which is Rhinebeck. Rhinebeck is in 5 days. Today is Monday. It starts technically, I think, on Friday. I will be going for Saturday and maybe part of Sunday. We technically are leaving on Thursday because I don't want to drive after work for 9 hours to get there. So we're going to leave on Thursday, which will be awesome. Like I said earlier, my friend Ramona is coming with. We're going to share the driving, which will be fun. And it's my first time going to Rhinebeck. I started out with my fiber journey going to Vogue Knitting Live, which was, I thought, pretty overwhelming in some respects. So this one I'm kind of looking forward to as a bit more seasoned knitter. I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm looking for, that sort of thing. But I asked in a previous, I think it was in the last episode, if anyone had any advice or comments about sort of tips and tricks for Rhinebeck. And there were some really, really good posts that were posted in the thread in the Ravelry group. I suggest if you're going for the first time, please do check them out. I don't know really what to expect other than I'm hoping to see some people that you all know who you are, that we've talked about, hopefully getting together. Not even hopefully, there's some good plans. Just about timing is the only thing. I'm looking forward to seeing Josh, who is sort of a knitter. I'm really looking forward to meeting him. I'm looking forward to meeting Andy in person, in the flesh. And Sue is going, and Chelsea is going to be there, and like all these great people that I've already sort of mentioned. So I'm really looking forward to it. In terms of what am I expecting to get out of it, I do have a bit of a shopping list. And my shopping list consists of basically 2 sweaters quantities of yarn. I really, really want to buy yarn to make the Vika sweater, which I talked about previously in last week's episode. I keep repeating myself. There's a lot of stuff last week, but last week was a doozy. Let's not confuse things. It was a bumper episode. So there's that one. The Spearhead sweater as well, from the Brooklyn Tweed 2016 fall collection. I really want to do those. I may or may not acquire a third sweaters quantity. I know roughly the quantities that I would look for, because I know there's going to be other sweaters that I'm going to want to make, and I'm kind of feeling like I'm knitting hats in the interim. They're an easy peasy, fast, quick hit sort of thing, and I like knitting them, but I really want to get sunk into a good couple of garments this winter as well. So I'm going to acquire for those. I also feel like I need some Cormo in my life. I first heard about Cormo from Michelle Wong, formerly of Gauge Intention, who's an amazing designer. Michelle, I don't know if you watch this, but if you do, hi, I'm fanboying really hard right now because I adore you. If you haven't watched, she has a great YouTube channel as well that I suggest you go check out, because she's got great stuff. She talks about her designs, she talks about her yarns that she likes to work with, and anyway, I can't say enough about her, although I'm going to keep saying more. And so she used to carry it, and I squished her Cormo, which sounds rude, but it isn't, when I was visiting Jenny and Devin over the summer, and I feel like I need some Cormo in my life. So I am going to be on the hunt for some Cormo. So that's my 3 top things. And then I'm leaving room, and this sort of has come up in conversation with a number of people, to leave room for sort of a wild card. That one thing that you didn't know that you needed or wanted until you see it. I think I'm going to probably pursue something that's in the sort of luxury or unique space. I'm maybe some Kiviot, maybe it'll be pure cashmere, maybe it'll be just a color that I really, really like, that I have no idea what I'm going to ever use it for. That's not the point. The point is just to have that one special thing that you just go, yes, this needs to be mine. So that's kind of where I'm going with it. I think it's going to be a pretty intense weekend. We will be driving back on this Sunday, but we may stop in again on the Sunday to sort of check out things like the Miss Babs booth, which we will not even be trying to attempt to get into on the Saturday. I just don't think I want to waste my time fighting hordes of knitters for something that I know I can probably get a little more easily if I were to travel, which if anyone has watched this channel for some time, you probably have already got the gist that I do travel quite a bit for a number of reasons. So that's kind of the plan for Rhinebeck. Really, really looking forward to it. I can't wait. I'm so excited. I, of course, will be taking video, and I will be, of course, Instagramming along the way. So if you're not able to make it to Rhinebeck, please do follow me on Instagram or follow this channel. I'm going to try and upload things a little bit more sort of à la minute as it happens, but wait and see. I don't think I will be periscoping, but you never know. We'll see. I've only ever done the one periscope, and that was kind of a whoops, I'm live when I didn't mean to be. So don't expect that to happen. That's a may or may not. So anyway, that's about Rhinebeck. So let's talk a little bit about Knitters News. That's sort of the next segment. That will be a relatively frequent piece. On this, I'm flipping pages because I don't want to miss anything. There we go. Okay. So, Knitters News basically is going to be things that I have been up to in the past time from the previous podcast. And this one's actually really unusual. There's 3 or 4 big things that sort of events that happened that I really didn't plan out. Some of them happened all of a sudden, and some were like, oh yeah, that's been planned for a while. Which I'm being kind of cryptic, and I don't mean to be, but it'll make itself clear. So one of the first things that happened is that I went to my first Toronto Knitters Guild meeting, which was really interesting. I went with my friends Ramona and Ashley, and I didn't know what to expect. If I had any expectation, it met more or less what I expected it to be. But essentially there was an opportunity to check out some new yarns that I hadn't been exposed to before. There was a bit of a runway show of different patterns in those yarns that I hadn't seen before. There was a bit of talk about some sort of show and tell of some of the work that the members had done, which I thought was really interesting to see. And then there was a featured talk about fashion influences, including color and style, that I thought was really illuminating, actually. For someone who, like myself, who works in an industry that's really guided by, in a lot of cases, by design in color and style, it was interesting to see. I really enjoyed that. So I joined as a member, so I am now a member of the Toronto Knitters Guild, and I have been asked to speak at the October meeting, which is today's the 10th, so it's just over a week away. I better get on that. About Rib Magazine, which I'm thrilled to have been invited to do. It's really exciting. It's a bit scary and nerve-wracking because I don't know exactly what I'm going to say or how much we want to give away about the issue yet, but I think we're just going to talk about the genesis of the magazine, and we may be giving a preview of the patterns. I have to confirm that with Devin to make sure that we're both okay with doing that. But I'm going to be talking about the magazine. So if you are in Toronto and you're a member of the Guild, I will see you there. If you're not a member of the Guild but want to attend, you can absolutely do that as well. I know that you can just come for the evening. But it's going to be interesting. I think it's going to be fun. So that's the Toronto Knitters Guild. The next thing that happened was, and I talked a little bit about this earlier, that Connie from Chili Knits came to visit. She was here with her husband visiting the city, and it was awesome to get to meet her. We'd been in touch for a month or two ahead of time about sort of planning what to do, and I know she spent some time with a bunch of other knitters as well here, which was great. And we organized a bit of a knit night meetup over dinner, and Christina and Amanda from Die Another Day were there, and of course I was there, and Patricia and Ramona and Ashley. You're sort of seeing a theme here that we kind of seem to travel as a group. We're there, and it was lovely to meet Connie and to spend some time with her. And of course we did some knitting, and that's where I kind of messed up my Rhinebeck sweater weather sock, but I fixed it. It's all good. I fixed it. But it was really good. It was a lot of fun. It was really nice to sort of get a early week connection, so we did that on a Monday, so that was kind of nice. So that was Connie's visit. And then I had a birthday. So my birthday was just over a week ago. Well, today's the 10th, so technically it was 10 days ago. And that was really fun. Special and I just had a sort of a quiet evening, just the two of us. And then on the Saturday, I flew to New York and spent the weekend in New York. And on Saturday, I got to spend some time with the amazing Jacqueline of Brooklyn Knit Folk. If you haven't watched Jacqueline's YouTube channel before, you really, really should. She's amazing. She's so creative. She's so industrious with her work. She does knitting, she does sewing, she does all kinds of stuff. She's amazing. But we met up at Brooklyn General, where I got to meet Catherine, the proprietress of Brooklyn General. And like you've already seen, we did some shopping. Then we sort of traipsed around to Woolen, which is the new shop that opened relatively recently. And we met Rachel, who runs that shop, and had a great conversation with her. And it's a smaller shop, but it's really, really cute. And it seems like it's got a really good community thing happening there as well. And then we went to Argyle, which was like, by this point, I was like, oh, I'm a bit yarn overload here. But they have a great selection of hedgehog and great selection of quince and a bunch of other fibers and stuff. And I really enjoyed that shop. They've got a huge wall of notions that I thought was really cool. And by that point, we were both like, oh, I need to sit down and I need to knit something. So we went for coffee and we spent some time knitting. And if you're interested in seeing sort of a bit of a recap of our little day, Jacqueline's posted a lovely video of Brooklyn Knit Folk in the wild that you can check out. And I will be posting a little bit of video probably at the end of this podcast of all these various bits and pieces of video that I've collected of my little travels throughout the time. So feel free to check out Jacqueline. I highly recommend that you do. So that was New York. That was the Saturday. On the Sunday, Sebastian and I went to visit the World Trade Center Memorial, which I had not been to since January of 2002, which I found it really, really difficult to be there. I was happy to be there. I was glad to see how it has evolved, but I'm not going to lie, it was an emotional morning. Yeah, so it was emotional. But then we went to Italy, which opened there, and we had a nice coffee. We did a little bit of shopping. We went to Balthazar for breakfast, which was awesome. I like going there for breakfast. It's kind of a birthday thing now, that's kind of what we do when we're in New York for my birthday, is we go to Balthazar. So we enjoyed that. And then what else did we do? We just had a really nice time. We went to Katz's Deli for lunch, which was an experience unto itself. We didn't stay and eat there. It was just too crazy. We went back to the hotel and ate. We were staying in the Lower East Side, which was cool. And then I guess that was Sunday. Monday I flew home, went back to work. It was all good. And then the last thing that happened is this amazing knit night at John Fluvog, which I only found out about because I follow Indigodragonfly on Instagram. I happened to catch the post that said that this was happening. I thought, well, sure, I want to be there. Of course I want to see that. I also thought it was unusual seeing a knit night at a shoe shop, but whatever works, right? So I coerced my friend Patricia to join me, and we met for dinner. But funny story, and this is not, I hate to sort of even bring this up because I don't want to sound like I'm name dropping, but I'm not. It's just, this is how small and how amazing this community is in Toronto. I got to the restaurant a little bit early on Queen Street West, and so I thought, well, I'm going to walk up to the Warby Parker store because I've got a pair of glasses on order that have not arrived yet, that I thought, well, maybe I'll check them out in the shop. But as I'm walking to the shop, I see Stephanie Pearl McPhee walking down the street, and of course I had to say hi. And it turns out she was going to the same restaurant that I was going to, so I gate crashed her dinner with herself and Fiona Ellis. I just stayed for a glass of wine just while I was waiting for Patricia to arrive. Then I left very promptly so that they could have their connection time. Had a great dinner there. We were at Tironi, which is an amazing restaurant. There's even one in LA. So if you're in LA and watching this, then I highly recommend this spaghetti alla limone, which was awesome. Anyway, we finished dinner. We went to the John Flugfog store, and it was really interesting. It's a really, really highly creative, very iconoclastic shoe brand and line. If you've never seen them, check them out online. And again, it was hosted by or sponsored by Indigodragonfly, so I got to meet Kim, which was amazing. She's so cool. So there were a lot of people that were buying shoes and knitting, and it was great music, and the store employees were awesome and welcoming. It was so cool. So we sat and we knit, and we got to chat, and Kate Atherley was there, so I got to chat with her a little bit. And I didn't get to meet a lot of other people because I was spending a little bit of time talking with Patricia, because I wanted to spend some time with my friends as well. But it was a super, super awesome night. It was a lot of fun. I wasn't home terribly late, which was kind of good. And then since then, I've just been working and knitting and having actually a pretty good long weekend. So it's hitting it's just after 2 now. I need to leave in a couple of hours to go visit my parents, where we are going to have some dinner together for Thanksgiving. We don't do a traditional Thanksgiving anymore because, frankly, we don't have the time, and our family is relatively small. So we started a new tradition last year where we go out for dinner. So we're going out for dinner, which will be nice. And so I'm going to try and get this put together, try and get it uploaded later this evening. So there you go. So we've got some winners. Please let me know, those who I said that I need to know what your pattern choice is and address to send things to. So let's take care of that. We're starting the Everybody Loves Pie KAL, which will be awesome. So you've got about 21 days, 3 weeks till we cast on. So we've got plenty of time to pick your pie shawl, or just pick your pie. Oh, that's kind of fun. Maybe that's a starting one. Maybe pick your pie. No, we'll stick to the Everybody Loves Pie KAL. And that's it for this week. So I will be recording again when I return from Rhinebeck. It'll probably be after my Clean Up Yo Stash Day, which is, of course, going to be now the 22nd of October. I think it's a great day to do it. Hopefully you agree. If you do, great. If you don't, hey, no one's forcing you. It's all good. Thank you again to everybody who sent me such just kind and wonderful birthday wishes, and everyone who had such wonderful things to say about the last episode. Here's looking forward to Rhinebeck. If I happen to see you there, or if you happen to see me, please do come and say hi, because you'll know me maybe from my face, but I won't know necessarily who you are, and you'll forgive me right away if I don't know who you are, because I probably won't. But do come and say hi and introduce yourself so that I can say that I met you at Rhinebeck. Have a great week. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye. Why don't you tell us a little bit about this yarn?
Okay, so this yarn, the colorway is called Arch to Triomphe, as a play on the arch of your foot. And I chose these colors because they are inspired by some of my favorite Flugog colors. This punchy blue, which is on a bunch of shoes that I own. They always do a wonderful teal, and I just wanted to, again, punch it up a little bit so that it complements rather than matches.
Yeah.
And these dirty greens, yellowy greens, Flugog does those so well, and so I wanted that represented as well.
That's
so
great.
That's what that's all about.
That's awesome. Thank you.